Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome everyone to today's explainer. We're focusing on what is arguably the hardest working system in your entire body right now, your cardiovascular system. Think about it for a second. Your heart beats thousands of times a day, just constantly pumping life-giving blood through this incredibly complex network of arteries and vessels. It's amazing. But just like the plumbing in an old house, over time things can get a little backed up if we aren't paying attention. And that's exactly why we're looking at how we can proactively eat for our cardiovascular health. Based on today's source material, we're not just going to throw out generic advice like eat healthy. No way. We're going to look specifically at the foods that actively clean out your arteries and keep that whole system running like a well-oiled machine. To make all this super easy to digest, pun totally intended, here's our quick agenda for this explainer. First, we'll look at the artery cleaning menu. Then we'll break it down by how these foods actually function, busting plaque and cholesterol, protecting your vessel walls, and finally, boosting overall blood flow.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the artery cleaning menu.
Look, if you're going to build a house, you absolutely need to know what materials you have on site, right? Well, the exact same logic applies to building and maintaining a healthy heart and clear arteries. You really need to know what's in your toolkit. So here is our master list of 10 specific heart-healthy foods from our source. We've got fatty fish, oats, walnuts, olive oil, avocados, garlic, berries, spinach, dark chocolate, and whole foods overall. It's a pretty delicious-looking lineup, isn't it? But over the next few minutes, we aren't just going to read this like a basic grocery list. We're actually going to break down the precise, targeted benefits every single one of these foods provides to your cardiovascular system.
Which brings us perfectly into section 2, busting plaque and cholesterol. Okay, so before we can really optimize the flow of blood, we've got to actively reduce the bad stuff that's currently clogging up the system. This is all about active remediation. We're clearing out the gunk. So think of this first group as our internal cleanup crew. This heavy-hitting crew consists of just 3 foods: fatty fish, oats, and avocados. These aren't just generally good for you, they're literally your first line of defense against arterial clogging.
But hold on, before we explain exactly how those 3 foods work, let's take a quick second to clearly define our enemies here. We're talking about plaque buildup and LDL, or bad cholesterol. These are the really detrimental elements that just sort of slowly accumulate along the inner walls of your arteries over time. If your arteries are like a major highway, plaque and LDL cholesterol are the debris and the massive traffic jams that slow everything down and eventually cause huge accidents. They need to be actively lowered and reduced if we want a clean, efficient system. So keeping that enemy in mind, let's see how our cleanup crew actually goes to work.
First up on the crew is fatty fish. Now, the explicit mechanical benefit here is that fatty fish reduces plaque buildup. It's your direct attacker. When you eat fatty fish, you are deploying a resource that specifically targets and works to reduce that really stubborn physical plaque buildup that's literally restricting the space inside your arteries. It's actively working to clear the lane so your blood can pass through so much more freely. Working right alongside the fish, we have oats and avocados. Now, they have a slightly different target. Instead of going after the hardened plaque itself, they actually go after the cholesterol that contributes to the problem in the first place. Oats specifically lower LDL cholesterol, while avocados step in to broadly reduce bad cholesterol overall. It's a seriously powerful 1-2 punch. Oats are driving down that specific LDL metric, and avocados are working with them to keep your overall bad cholesterol levels in check. Together, this entire cleanup crew clears the physical blockages and pulls the bad cholesterol right out of circulation.
All right, moving right along to section 3, protecting your vessel walls.
So with the plaque cleared out, we really need to focus on the pipes themselves. We're shifting gears from the foods that clean the arteries to the foods that act as our structural engineers. And here they are: walnuts, olive oil, garlic, and berries. Every single one of these plays a critical role in keeping your blood vessels resilient, flexible, and completely protected against damage.
Now, what is really fascinating here is the incredible mechanical contrast between garlic and walnuts. Just look at how beautifully they complement each other. Garlic proactively prevents arterial stiffness. It stops that dangerous hardening from happening in the first place, making sure your vessels don't become rigid. On the flip side, walnuts actively improve the artery flexibility that you already have. So you've got garlic acting as the shield against stiffness and walnuts acting as a conditioner to enhance flexibility. Honestly, it's just a perfect push and pull system for structural health.
And the structural protection definitely doesn't stop there. We also have to point out the dual protective power of olive oil and berries. According to our source material, olive oil acts as your broad shield. It just generally protects the blood vessels as a whole.
Berries, on the other hand, offer a much more highly targeted defense. They specifically protect the vessel walls themselves. So think about it. You have a generalized protector for the whole vessel and a specialized protector fortifying the inner lining. That is some serious, comprehensive structural engineering for your heart.
Which brings us to our final functional category in Section 4, boosting overall blood flow.
Okay, we've cleared the blockages, we've fortified the walls, now we actually need to get that blood moving. Our 3 specific flow enhancers are spinach, dark chocolate, and whole foods. These 3 ensure that everything inside your vascular system is circulating smoothly, easily, and without any unnecessary resistance. Let's look at the actual mechanics here. Spinach works actively to improve your overall circulation. It's essentially the engine that helps push things along. And I know a lot of you are going to be absolutely thrilled to hear this, dark chocolate comes in to directly support that healthy blood flow. Yes, you heard that right, chocolate. Dark chocolate is functionally working to ensure your blood flows well. So when you pair the incredible circulating power of leafy green spinach with the flow-supporting properties of dark chocolate, you are left with a system that is totally optimized for movement. And finally, tying this entire functional menu together, we have our overarching principle: whole foods. When you build your diet based on whole foods, incorporating the fish, the nuts, the berries, the greens we've been talking about, you comprehensively reduce your overall heart risk. It's really not about finding one magic ingredient. It's about how leaning into a whole food diet brings all of these amazing mechanical benefits together to protect your heart entirely. To truly cement all this in your memory, let's take a look at this complete functional summary. Now, instead of just seeing a random list of groceries, you can actually see a highly specialized toolkit. From reducing plaque with fish and oats, to building structural flexibility with walnuts and garlic, right down to improving flow with spinach and dark chocolate, every single whole food here has a specific, targeted job to do for your heart. Which leaves me with one final and very important question for you. Which artery cleansing food are you going to add to your plate today? Now that you know exactly how these foods function, as a cleanup crew, as structural engineers, and as flow enhancers, you have the power to make some really highly informed choices for your cardiovascular health. Hey, don't try to change everything all at once. Just pick 1 or 2 from our list today and start building that healthier heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown helpful at all, please check out the clinic's resources listed right here and take a proactive step for your physical health today. Keep learning, keep eating well, and I will see you next time.